Welcome back to another episode of catvtechtalk. I don't even want to do it. Like, fuck it, Jesse. Just do it. What are we doing today?
On call.
Fucking on call. I'm not even on call anymore. This is like fucking Drew's little whitey bitch part 2 of fucking last week's episode because fucking.
I think you were the
on
whiniest
call.
bitch in the metrics episode, but you're getting whinier as we go.
Yeah, because they keep getting fucking shittier. Nobody, I mean, you just fucking see on call. Ugh, dude, just when that, you know what was the worst? Was when you had a meeting on Wednesday and you had no fucking idea it was your week for on call and your fucking name popped up on that board. It was like, I don't know. It was like somebody took my balls away from me.
Well, what sucked, man, like when I was a service tech, I ran call every 8 weeks. So that wasn't a big deal, right? Like 8 weeks, once every 8 weeks, that ain't a big deal. But whenever I was a system tech, I had it every 2 weeks. So every other week I was on call.
And I feel like that's super, that was almost more shitty.
Dude, it was horrible.
Because as a maintenance tech, I feel like, I hate saying, I feel like maintenance techs get called out a lot more than, or at least what I am familiar with. I feel like techs, oh my God, maintenance techs got called out a lot more than techs did.
Oh yeah, well, it affects more people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like the biggest thing that like for me was like as a service tech, when I was on call, if I got called out, it was usually to a business. And it was usually a phone or an internet issue. If it was a business TV issue, they didn't even send you out. But if it was something that was, they couldn't do their work with the internet or they didn't have phone service to take calls from customers or something, they made that a priority. And that makes sense, right? To me, that makes sense. Like, now I have been called out as a service tech for a fucking drop down in a shitty ass trailer for somebody that was just pissed off. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, where people are just pissed off. And, oh, I'm going to raise hell until you send somebody here to fix my shit. I got to watch soap operas at 2 o'clock tomorrow and fucking, you know, my Playboy channel. I have nothing to jack off to at 2 a.m. So, you know, that shit can wait, but, you know, it depends on how much fucking, people.
If Comcast didn't fucking cap the poor assholes' data, you maybe fucking have Pornhub.
Not if it drops on the ground, you dumbass.
Fucking, God damn it. No fucking Xfinity Wi-Fi. You can fucking use up your neighbor's fucking internet caps.
Yeah, I never did that. I heard you could. I never fucked with it. But no, like, but as a system tech, like most of the time you get called out. Like mainly it's just outages, and most of the time it's pretty easy to find because like if you got like say you're at the corner of 2nd and Sycamore Street. Well, if everything on 2nd Street,
right down there by the fucking 7-Eleven.
Yeah, motherfucker.
That's like 3 miles down from the CVS.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob hang out there. Well, like if you look and all the modems past like 615 Sycamore Street's off, you know it's right there behind that first, like somewhere right there at that last active feeding those addresses.
Yeah, so we had like, what is it? Did you use Watchtower?
Watchtower, yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Watchtower, and I remember seeing that on there, which that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of narrowed it down for you, so you didn't have to like go amp to amp to amp to amp to amp to amp, like trying to find voltage and signal and say, okay, I got it here, got it leaving, let's go to the next one, blah blah blah. So that was okay. Now the shit that sucked is when you get called out and it was a noise outage, and you know most noise outages were pretty easy because like. You know, it's just like tracking anything. Like in a house, it's just bigger, right? You know, in a house, you kind of isolate it and then you work back and figure out what's causing it, right?
Yep.
Same difference. Like you start at the node, plug in, see which leg it's coming off of, and start tracking that leg out. Well, the problem is for me, like this is the worst on call I ever had was I was in a system. Now there's upstream cards in the head end. Well, each node should be on its own upstream card. Well, the problem is, in this scenario, there was 4 nodes on one card. They had combined them. I don't know how that shit works because I'm not a head end tech, but I was in node 2. I remember this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're telling me node 2 is out. Well, I have everything in the whole node's offline, and I can't figure out why. Now, there's only like 30 modems in this node, so there's a little small area. But you look at path track, and everything's flat. So you're like, what the fuck is the problem? And it took like 2 hours for me to get a hold of a supervisor who knew that these were combined. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's combined with 7, 9, and whatever." Right? I forgot. Well, anyway, I started looking up the other nodes. Well, node 7's got a hump that's like fucking huge right in the middle of the carriers. It's like there's no way nothing's going to talk back. So I go over there and start tracking it out. And I finally track. Now, this is in the middle of the night. It's like 4 in the morning by this point, 4 or 5. It's almost daylight. By the time I tracked it down to this fucking old ass house, this old ass brick house that's like literally sitting by itself, it looks haunted. And when I pulled the drop off of that tap, it was a terminating tap. So I pulled that drop off that terminating tap, and I had my computer in the bucket, and that big hump just goes flat. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I cut the connector off the drop. I didn't even hook it back up. I just zip tied it to the strand. And I put an orange tag on it, and I wrote on there, "Do not fucking hook up again."
God, holy shit, dude.
But then, I had to call in, and I put an SRO in for him to fix it or whatever. But I was out all night, but I didn't know that these were combined nodes. I didn't understand that. I was new at it, really. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there for 2 hours looking at this and not knowing where to start or where to go because I'd already been to the node. It's clean on all 4 legs in node 2, but it wasn't node 2 that was the problem. But node 7 was knocking node 2 off. So I'm like, what the fuck? It just didn't make any sense. Now, the only upside to on-call at all is you get paid, right? The week that you're on call, you get paid the daily whatever, and then you get paid like time and a half or whatever if you get called out. That's great. Because like I've said before, remember what I said in recognition? The only thing we fucking want is some money. If you're going to make me work at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning, you better fucking pay me. So that is the absolute only good thing. Here's a fucking true story, and I hope everybody loves this. I was fucking my girlfriend, and that phone started going off, and I wasn't about to stop because I didn't give a fuck whose internet didn't work at 3 a.m. And I continued, and then it rang again, and then it rang again, and then it rang again, and it rang again to the point where I'm like, fuck. So then I just kind of like, sorry, baby, I got to go. So I got up, put my pants on. I was already in a bad fucking mood.
Blue balls.
You know what? And you know what it was? Somebody called in and said there was a pole on the ground. So they called me and wanted me to see if our cable was on the ground. I'm like, are you fucking serious? So I drove 45 minutes to go see a fucking old little bump pole next to a trailer laying on the ground. Poor our feeder wasn't on the ground.
Middle of having sex and you got stuck with a bump hole.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? I was so pissed off. I drove back, and then that was like the greatest anger bang of my life. I'm just throwing that out there. But anyway, moving on. That's the only upside though is that they pay you. There's no other upside to on call. Nobody wants to fucking do it. It sucks. The only thing that's good about it is they pay you more, and that check at the end of the week's usually a lot better. But let's go into the downsides now.
I was going to say, because I don't even have a fucking upside. I mean, I hate telling this to everybody who's listening, but we sit down before every episode and we make a little list of everything we want to talk about and go over, and we try to be optimistic and say positives and negatives and be kind of hippie. So all those crazy crunchy liberals won't fucking write us letters, but it sucked. I fucking hated it. I knew guys who literally paid people to take their on call for them. Yeah. Let's just go right to downside. On call. That's number one downside. On fucking call. It's just on call and it sucks.
Well, what sucked for me is like I said before, as a service tech, I could handle every 8 weeks or whatever, right? But fuck, man, every other week, like I had a week that you get off work, you go home, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You can go, okay, it's the weekend. I'm going to go to fucking, Gatlinburg, or I'm going to go some fucking where, right? I can't imagine right now, like, especially like, I talk about my son sometimes. We go different places to wrestle, right?
Yeah.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
You can't leave your little circle, and they're paying you to basically sit there just in case something happens. Fuck that. I hated it so much.
In my opinion, too, the amount of money that you would get paid for it, I want to say it was like $15 on a day that you worked and $30 on a day off. It fucking was not worth to me 30 fucking dollars a day to be
I think,
strapped to my phone and not being able to leave my area.
yeah, man, like it, you know, I only made $150 a week as a system tech to stay in my area all week long. I can't go very far. If I do and they call and I ain't there, I get in deep shit. You know, they give you a time limit on how long you got to fix it, which is fucking super stressful, dude. You know, especially, and that counts as your drive time. So if you're an hour away and you get 2 hours to fix it, when you get there, you got an hour to fix it. You're like, dude, sometimes it takes longer than that. There's factors. So like, fuck, it sucked. There's nothing good about it. Like the little bit of money, you know, it's good when they pay that time and a half and that $150, especially whenever, you know, like when I was a system tech, I didn't make shit compared to what a lot of these guys make. So
Yeah.
to me, I thought I was rich for a week, but I really wasn't. I just had a little breathing room, but it wasn't worth the bullshit you go through for it.
And that's why I sit here and just go, there was fucking zero upside to it. From the time I started as a tech to the time I fucking quit, on call changed so drastically. When I first started working for Comcast, I took on call constantly as much as I possibly could. Cause like you said, it was all about the money. Honestly, that fucking dwindled so quick. On call changed. I don't know how if it changed for you guys or if it's evolved in other companies. When I worked for Comcast, when I just started, on call was only used for down drops or phone out of service. That was it. If your internet was out, we'll see you tomorrow. If your TV was out, we'll see you tomorrow. If your phone was out and you were a little old lady, they would send us out there. But even the phone jobs, they tried very hard to go next day. It's very rare you'd even get one. I only ever got called out for down lines. Dude, when I left Comcast, actually, no, I can't say that. Hold on, because I don't even want to talk about that part yet. I want to say about a year, maybe a year and a half before I left Comcast, I was getting called for fucking full routes. Full
In the
routes.
in the
I
middle of the
would
night,
know if my schedule was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. So I had Thursday, Friday, Sundays off. On call rotation for me started on a Wednesday. So I would work all day Wednesday. And then by 8 o'clock the next morning, they would call me because they would have a route with no techs, or they would have so much extra work. They'd be an entire another route that would need to be picked up.
oh
And
yeah, so you were having to work your off days.
yeah, full routes though. Not like, hey, can you get this job? Or hey, like if technicians weren't going to be late, they didn't call the on-call guy. It didn't make any sense. It to me, it made no sense to call them out for that. And in the beginning, they never did that. But like I said, in the end, they were calling you for full routes. They were calling for missed and lates. Dude, there was fucking jobs in the pool because guys would pull a PHT on them, see that they're failing, and they'd be 5 to 7s or 4 to 6s, and they would fucking throw him back, and the on call would get fucking called out because this tech wasn't gonna fucking make a job. And now that technician, the on call tech, is fucking out there for 2 3 hours trying to fix a nightmare house because somebody else, I don't know. To me, on call was just abused so poorly. I mean, I'm sure you can tell by my attitude. I'm like a beaten child. It's just it was so poorly orchestrated. We could never get a justification on when it's justifiable to get called out.
I remember when I was working as a service tech that the on Sundays, remember I said I loved that Sunday through Thursday shift when I was a tech, and I had it just about the whole time I was there. Outside of, you know, the beginning 6 months, I was Tuesday through Saturday, I think. And one other time I had knee surgery one time, and when I come back, they made me work it for 6 months. But other than that, I was Sunday through Thursday. I remember every Sunday they would call in. Like I was in Georgia, so there was only two of us down there, and we usually didn't have a ton of work. Like we'd have a route, but we didn't have a ton of work because we had one system, part of our system that was almost brand new. We didn't have problems there. We had another part of our system that we really didn't have a lot of connects, right? Because there was a new company that came in, had built the fiber to the home system, and they were taking a lot of people. So like our area was kind of, it wasn't busy, right?
Yeah.
So, but every fucking Sunday, the supervisor would call in the on call guy and send him to Georgia every Sunday. And it was so fucked up, man. It was like, dude, because what would happen is that he would run these trouble calls and he just wants to get done and go home, right? So he
Yeah.
would fuck around these trouble calls and then we'd get him as repeats on like Wednesday or Thursday, right? Every week, regardless who it was. And to
Jesus.
me, that was kind of counterproductive.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and not every one of them was a repeat, but like a lot of them, like and you get over there and like they'd code it like replace DTA, and there's a fucking 59 line feeding through a windowsill, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, the service tech side of on call, like the only thing I can see justifiable, really, like you kind of said, was like drop downs to me aren't even really justifiable for a residential customer. And I mean,
Yeah, we're in a
unless it's a hazard and it's like blocking the road or some, some shit like that, right?
and that's what I was gonna say. It's usually for us. It was some type of obstruction.
Yeah, it'd have to be something that would cause a problem like for other people, but not just because they're off for a day. I mean, that shit happens. But like for the system side of things, like you got that affects more people, so you do get called out for other. Now I was called out a lot of times, um, and I never cared to go on these, like, because if I had to be on call anyway, service techs, like we had this system where I worked that was a one way plant. It was only had forward signal. There was no return path up there,
No shit.
and yeah, it was a piece of shit. You ever seen 440 MC squared cable? It looks like a giant fucking piece of RG11 with like with the foil jacket around it, like the hard line.
No, but the name of it, all I can think of is little Albert Einstein on the box, like with the two little gun fingers pointing at you. Choo choo.
Well, if you barely touch this shit's so old, they haven't used it in years and years. But when I was up there, like when you were coring it, trying to put a connector on it just to keep the shit running, because you'd have a crack or something, like it would just fall apart. Like it was
I
straight fucking, it was garbage. Like I remember trying to get a connector on one time, and I ended up having to put like two straight splices in it just to reach the fucking tap because I kept breaking the shit. Like
Jesus.
it was so fucked up.
I remember back in the day trying to cut a connection and having that happen to the dielectric. It would just continuously like fall out, and you'd be like, "What the fuck's happening?"
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know if you ever came across that, but
I've seen. I remember like cutting connectors in the winter, and the cable's so cold it would like snap.
yeah, fuck off. Don't even. Don't
Yeah,
even.
but anyway, moving on. Like, but that system up there, like, it has a one-way system. Well, if there was a service guy on call, and every now and then, like, I don't understand why they would do this, but they would call, like, if it was around 6, 7, 8 o'clock, they would call the service guy for a trouble call up there. Well, the only fucking thing that's usually wrong up there is the fucking system, because it's a piece of shit, right?
Hmm.
So as soon as they got the trouble call, they would call me, and I'd have to go up there with them. And the best you could do is just try to balance it out just enough to give them, -15 at the box and pray it works. Because that shit was fucked. Like, it was fucked. Now, I've heard that since then they've rebuilt that whole thing up there. I don't know if they did or not, but with that being said, it was so fucked up. Like, you just did the best you could. Like, we'd put amps behind TVs and shit just to try to make it work so we'd get the fuck out of there. We would actually tell people, like, just get DirecTV. You'll be better off. Like,
There was a guy up in northern Maine who used to hand out DirecTV pamphlets.
that's fucking epic, dude.
Dude, it was. I'm pretty sure he got fired, which makes sense. Or
Yeah,
no,
but that's
I don't think he did get fired. I think he might have got promoted. Either way,
that sounds like some Comcast shit.
yeah, no shit, right? God,
Uh,
but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's changed so much. So I went from having on call and being fucking crazy, balls to the walls, fucking kiss your week goodbye. Any fucking day off you had, you were working. And it was gonna be shitty. They were gonna fucking abuse you. Like, dude, it was to the point where dispatchers weren't even, again, this is not all dispatchers, just some. They would just fucking abuse it. They'd be like, yeah, I can't get a tech to take this. I'm just gonna call the on-call guy. It's like, no, that's not how that fucking works. I don't know. Again, it was just it's changed so much, but there was relief for me, and it was a weird. I don't know. I've never seen a company do it. I don't understand how it worked in the back end. I think it was more of one of those like, hey, at the end of the day, if you don't pick up work, it's coming back. But they actually took on call away the last year that I was at Comcast.
Really?
100% gone. On call did not exist.
For the service techs.
For the service techs, correct. Plant techs, I don't really think that's ever not going to be a thing, unfortunately, for them, because when service is out, it needs to be back up. But that's why they also make a lot more money than technicians do.
Well, I've met. I'm real good friends with a guy that's been doing. Like, I was only a service tech for 2 years. I didn't like it. It was not for me. I figured it out. Like, once I was thrown to the wolves, I figured out how to do it, but I didn't like it. I wasn't happy with it. I didn't like my daily routine. I didn't
Yeah.
like the fucking bullshit that went with it. I didn't like having to answer to a guy that was my supervisor as a system tech. The first one I had, the one that hired me, I respected him. I didn't respect the second one. I was
Is that
like,
the one that called you split?
no, that's when I was building fiber. But I respected my first system tech supervisor. But when he hired me, and 3 months later he got promoted to like an operations manager in another area.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that took us over, he was just a yes man. So
Yeah.
whatever his boss said to him, he wouldn't go to bat for you. He was just do it, just deal it, and he would like be real panicky about it, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck that, man. Grow some. Like, whenever I got in that situation, I was just fucking unhappy. Well,
Yeah.
I was supposed to have 6 months in the field before they put me on call. As soon as my first supervisor took off, and took that other job, this guy gets in and he immediately put me on the on call rotation. I still don't know what the fuck's going on. My first night outage was a nightmare, dude. I was out for like 5 hours. And
Oh,
that in
fuck that.
itself was like, and he wouldn't answer the phone either. I'm
What
like,
the
dude, I don't know
fuck?
what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I really didn't. So, like, that in itself was like, fuck this. Now, I hung in there for a while, but I didn't like it. But I got a buddy that's been doing this shit for ever. Okay. And he's had multiple situations where he could go be a supervisor or whatever. And he always turns it down because I'm shocked at and found a reason to get rid of him because he's been there for like 30 years, right? He's capped out at the most money that he can make at that job, right?
Yep.
So he's making big money doing it. So I can see him, just dragging that out for a while. But with that being, and him knowing exactly where everything is in the area he's in, he's been in it for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So his job's probably not too bad. But he's older now. His kids are grown. He don't. It's a different dynamic. Me at the time, I was a single dad with two babies. Really, like, let's see, at that time Zachary was 4 and Bryce. Well, no, Zachary was 3. Bryson was 4. I remember one night, my dad helps me a lot with my kids sometimes, and
Yeah.
at the time I couldn't leave my boys with my dad because he was out of town with his girlfriend, and it was just me. And I got called out. Well, Bryce and Zach sleeping in my floorboard with blankets and pillows in my bucket truck. I'm in the middle of a fucking cow field working on an amp.
Oh, you
So,
poor bastard.
so that was the straw that broke the camel's back, though. That's when I went in and said, "Hey, fuck you. I'm not doing this anymore." But that on call shit was, dude. It was so. I understand people need what they're paying for. I understand, especially businesses. I definitely understand businesses. If you got 3 or 4 or 5 modems off on a street, that shit can wait a few hours till it's daylight. I believe it can.
Yeah.
But they make a big deal out of it, and I understand it to a degree, but that shit really sucks, and I'm glad I don't do it anymore. You could pay me $1 million a year and I wouldn't do it.
I call bullshit on that.
No, I don't. I wouldn't fucking do it. I
For a
promise I wouldn't
million
do it.
fucking dollars a
For $1
year.
million fucking dollars, I wouldn't do it. I would rather go and get paid $8.50 an hour, stand at McDonald's and say, "Do you want fries with that?"
Yeah. No, you're right. Fuck it. I don't
At
think
least
I would
that
do it for
way
$1 million either.
I'm getting a couple free chicken nuggets.
That's another story for another day, buddy. um, but yeah, no, like I said, when I left, it didn't exist anymore. I think what it ended up coming down to it was technicians were constantly trying to get rid of on call because it just wasn't worth it. And then Comcast turned around and was like, hey, guess what we're going to do? We're going to change it from 150. I believe it went to 200. Nobody quote me on it. I believe it went to 200. And then I'm like, all right, still doesn't change anything because they put that number up to 200. But dude, the amount of shit you got called out for because now you were more expensive. So they were going to fucking use you when you got called out. And so I think they just got to the point where I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's just try stopping it, see if it works, make technicians happier. And I don't know how well it worked out for them in the back end, but it worked out good for the techs because the techs weren't getting on call or they weren't having to do on call anymore. But the good news is those techs who didn't want it on call, still plenty of time or plenty of work to buffer the overtime. So no matter what, they always still got their overtime. So to me, again, it was just a waste. Never saw a benefit to it, whether you were the technician who needed it or you're the technician who fucking didn't want anything to do with it. It was just a joke. Granted, the job that I have now, which just like you, I try very hard not to discuss too much, but I don't have on call, but my phone can go off at any time of the night and I could get called out to anything. I don't care now. I fucking love my job. Again, I hate saying it because fucking there's probably like new cable technicians on here. They're like, yay, cable. I fucking dude, I made the best decision of my life by walking away and fucking starting a new job because I am so much happier as a person. Now, that's not saying that it's fucking truly a shitty, horrible fucking job because there are a bazillion jobs out there that are worse. I mean, you could be literally fucking sucking shit out of, shitters. But I don't know, dude. I love going to work every day. So even when my boss calls me, whether it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon or fucking 2 in the morning, I don't give a shit because I know I'm appreciated. I know I'm gonna get the money that I fucking deserve to go out and do it. Um, let's put it like this. This is the kind of company I work for. My boss went to a house to kind of do like a walkthrough or an audit. And while he was there, he ended up fixing some things. Long story short, the customer ended up giving him a $300 tip. Um, at the time, the office I worked out of, we only had three people out of that office. And he fucking called us and he was like, "You're never gonna believe what happened, blah, blah, blah." My boss, the owner's son, took that $300 and split it between all of his employees. Um, to
That's good.
me,
That's amazing. Yeah.
that is something that doesn't exist. I truly, and just for the record, so everybody knows, I don't even think my boss knows I do a podcast. So I'm not kissing ass at all. It's truly a company that makes you feel like family. It's a company that I want to wake up every fucking day and go to and bust my ass for. It's that job that I want to stay those 2 hours later to make sure we can be that one step ahead. Dude, I didn't have that passion with Comcast. I didn't have that passion as a cable technician because what I got in return, it wasn't worth it. I'll go through hell and back for this company because I know no matter what I do for them, I will always see my return. Um, and I don't feel it was the same with them.
No, man. Yeah, and since you went that far, like that, I remember when I was a system tech on call, the people that called you, was it called TAC? Was it TAC? Was it, they called it something? Well, these people would call you, and you'd always get this asshole fucking woman like Karen Jr. And she was always like real fucking proper and to the point. And she's like, "You need to be here. You got 30 minutes to get there. We need this on now." Kind of like bitchy about it, right?
Oh,
That like,
what did you call it?
was it called TAC?
We called it the knock.
No, I think it. Well, I was at Charter when I was a maintenance tech. I think it was called the TAC or something.
So knock, I know like I had a technician buddy who ended up working for another company, an elevator company, and they monitored the like I guess in like New York City there elevators have like little TVs in them. Since you have to go fucking 100 floors, you can watch TV. But if one of them goes down, this is the company that monitor it, and he even called it a knock. So I'm pretty sure it's called a knock.
I don't know. They
I
called it
don't know.
something. I ain't gonna hold me to that because it's been years. I don't remember what it was. But you'd have this woman call you. She was always bitchy. Like the morale. Like, and I realized this really early on too. I will say this: there is a difference, and I will call out because I don't give a shit. There is a difference between Comcast and Charter in terms of how they do things. When I was at Comcast, like you were required, you had a certain level that you had to kind of meet. You had metrics at Charter, but they didn't really mean as much. They like at Comcast, you were held accountable for what you were supposed to be doing, right? Like weekly, daily, monthly, like you know, your QCs mattered. Like how you did your jobs mattered.
Yeah.
Charter didn't care. So like the morale was really, really, really bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when the morale's already bad, and then nobody cares what anybody's really fucking doing as long as it's working, and then you're thrown out on your own. You don't fucking at first didn't know what was going on. Then you realize what's going on, and then every other week you're thrown out in the middle of the night. You're paying your bills, but barely. I mean, what the fuck's good about it?
See, and this is one of those moments again where I wish, because there has to be somebody out there higher up listening to. I mean, not saying that somebody has to be listening to us, but there has to be somebody out there that can fucking have some type of input on this, because I am gonna just go with the whiny bitch term. I just have that mindset. I was a technician. You were a technician. You were a plant technician. Every technician across the board, not every technician, most technicians across the board are bitter about it, and they get angry because, again, I know I used the analogy before, but I feel like mommy and daddy have this huge thing to say to you, but they can only give you 10% of it because they don't think you can handle the rest of it. And I always fucking hated that. And I feel like that's just how it's treated. You're just fucking a giant man child. So it's like, I need to hear the reasons behind all of it. I need to know why it happened. So if anybody fucking out there can answer any of these questions that me and Jesse have, whether they're about fucking lovely data caps or fucking on call, it's so, and the worst
or your
part
bullshit
is, dude,
metrics.
or your bullshit metrics. And this is the best part. And this is the part that fucking, dude, that's all half these guys want to fucking know. That's the worst part. That's what they're pissed off about. Why the fuck am I getting on call and getting called out for an entire route? Why is he even getting fucking scheduled if a person's not supposed to be fucking working? Why do I have this fucking metric that's almost impossible to hit when it's something that's 100% out of my control? And then on top of it, you're making me do this other fucking scan, even though you can already see everything in the back end. Fucking why? Just give these guys answers, because I never fucking got answers. So I told them to fuck off and I was done. So you want to talk about building these fucking great companies and working for, these great American fucking companies? Start there, because you fucking talk to your employees and tell them what's going on and give them reasons why they're doing things. Because if you explain to somebody why they're being forced to do something they don't want to do, at least you're giving them a reason instead of saying just fucking do it. Because you know what, dude, there's zero fucking trust there when you can't even explain why I need to do something. To follow blindly, it does not lead to anything positive. Nothing.
No, I'm gonna wrap up with this. I think we've had enough bitching over on call. We'll go
Yeah,
ahead and
because I'm starting to
agree.
get a little flustered.
On call sucks. There's really no upside over money, outside of money, and the money's not always great.
And the money's not even worth the fucking aggravation.
Not the headache. No, like
It's not.
it. If you want to, I'll leave it with this. You talked about you're happy with what you're doing now. I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing now. Granted, I'm still kind of connected to the industry, just on a different
Hey,
way.
dude, I actually disconnected an Xfinity modem today because the fucking guy ran it through a fucking windowsill, and I had to fucking jump off the modem. So I had to bring a gel Cat 5 from the outside in. And fucking, I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm leaving this. So I fixed it. So I actually had to cut the connector off and recut a new one today.
Oh, right on. Look,
Yeah, yeah.
Drew's the cable guy. Oh, hey,
we gotta
give you a standing ovation for that.
Yes, thank you.
With that being said, I think you talked about how you're happy with what you're doing. I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. My morale's pretty good. Your morale's pretty good. If these cable operators really want to help these guys and they really want to get the best out, the way to get the best out of people is not by shitting on them.
No.
The way to get the best out of people is appreciating them, educating them,
and treating them like fucking human beings and not a number.
Not just a number.
Yep. Don't fucking treat your employees like a number, because once you start doing that, you lose all respect. And I hate saying it, that's what they're doing.
Well, man, let's just say this out loud. On-call fucking sucks.
Yep. It's fucking terrible. No more shitty fucking topics. I'm glad we cover them, because again, I truly fucking hope somebody listens to this and goes, shit. And then hopefully somebody's life slightly changes by it, whether hopefully it's not for the worse, but you're right. I think that's a good wrap up on call. I don't think we can really get any more in depth on it. Yeah. Anything else?
No, man, I'm good.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. Tune in next week, and we'll catch you then.
See ya.
Later. Like what you just heard? Then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Me and Jesse have a new episode for you every Monday, and every Wednesday we drop a new cable short. Want to drop us a line? You can email us at catvtechtalk@gmail.com, or you can call us at 302-YAP-CATV. That's 302-927-2288. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget, crawling, climbing, drilling, and driving is just the beginning.